Good afternoon. Today topic is loop structures. In Python, these are the basic loop structures or iterative statements. That is, we are calling as iterative statements. And in Python, supports basic loop structures through iterative statements. Iterative statements are used to repeat the execution of list of statements depending on the value of integer expression. For example, if you take I is equal to 0 to I less than 10, it repeats the statements up to the statement 9, and it is the definition for while loop. While loop provides a mechanism to repeat one or more statements while a particular condition is true. And note that the condition is tested before any of the statements in the statement block is executed. If the condition is true, only the statements will be executed. Otherwise, if the condition is false, the control jump to the statement while. And we can see in the syntax that statement x is the initial statement, and while condition is the test expression or integer expression we written in the block. And the if the condition is true, it is trying to execute the statement block, and if the condition is false, it is the control jumps to the statement while. And here is the flow chart. For example, if you take statement x, that is the initial statement, and the condition, if you take condition I less than 10, it is trying to execute the I less than 10 until the 9. It is trying to execute the statement block and updates the condition, that is incrementing like I is equal to I plus 1. And if the condition is false, it is trying to jump to the statement y. And every time it is trying to repeat the statement block, and it is trying to update I is equal to I plus, and that is 1 plus 1 2 2 plus 1 3, and so on to up to 9. And if the condition is true, it is trying to execute the test expression, and it is trying to execute the statement block and updating the condition, and it is trying to execute the statement x. And if and only if the condition is false, it is trying to execute the statement y. And some of the solved problems, we can see the program to print first 5 numbers using while loop. That is, we are taking the statement x as that is I is equal to 1. That is the condition while I less than 6, and we are printing the statement I, and I is equal to I plus 1. We can see clearly in the flow chart, that is the statement x is the I is equal to 1, and while I less than 6, that is the condition, and print I statement, that is we are executing the statement block and updating the condition, that is the I is equal to I plus 1, that is the output 1 2 3 4 5. And another example, that program to separate two values printed on the same line using a tab, that is we are using the backslash t, and the condition is I is equal to 0, that is initial statement x, that is while condition is I less than is equal to 10, and we are printing, and we are using the end, that is equal to backslash e, and increment statement is that is I plus is equal to 1, that is printing on a same line using the same statement above statement. And another example is that and write a program to calculate the sum of numbers from m to n, that is m is the input, that is we are taking int of input of, that is a integer. We are trying to use the input function to prompt the user to take the input values, and int is the data type in which we are trying to convert all the values which we are taking is integer values, and we are writing the string, the enter the value of m, and n is equal to int of input of, that is enter the value of n, that is initial statement is s is equal to 0, and the condition is m less than is equal to n. And we can see clearly that is the updating statement is m is equal to m plus 1. It is incrementing the statements from, for example, if we see in the output, we can take m is equal to 1 and n is equal to 10. It is trying to repeat m is equal to m plus 1. That is, we are trying to repeat the statement, that is updating the statement. And after updation, it is trying to sum the statement with s is equal to s plus m. And lastly, we can see that the sum is equal to 55. That is, we are trying to calculate 1 to 10. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus, that is incrementing the s is equal to s plus m. Lastly, we are printing the statement with the help of sum is equal to, that is we are calling the sum value s variable, which is the value stored, all the values, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus and so on to 10, that is stored in the s, that is we are calling in the print statement, that is the s. Sum is equal to 55. And next example in strings, that is we can clearly see that n is equal to 1, that is initial statement x, and condition is n less than 5 followed by colon, and a print statement, that is hello, and we are trying to increment the statement n is equal to n plus 1, and that is we can see clearly that string also works in Python with help of while loop, that is it is trying to print the statement hello Python, that is we are trying to take the initial statement as 1, that is it is trying to print the 4 times. And another series is that is n is equal to 10, while loop to print a number series, that is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 and so on, that is it should be on a single line tab, that is in the example we can see clearly here we are using to separate values printed on the same line, that is we are using end is equal to, like that we can see clear, that is we are using end is equal to, we are separating by a comma, and the condition is n less than is equal to 100, and n is equal to n plus 10. First initially the n value is 10, that is we are incrementing the statement 10 plus 1 10 plus and 10, that is 20, and 20 plus 10, that is 30 and so on to 100, that is incrementing the statement by using n is equal to n plus 10. And second one is the for loop. The for loop is usually known as the determinate or definite loop, because the programmer knows exactly how many times the loop will repeat. The number of times the loop has to be executed can be determined mathematically and checking the logic of the loop. Here clearly we can see the syntax for loop control variable in sequence, and n is the operator to check the loop control is in the sequence or not, and it is trying to print the statement block if the condition is true. And this is the flow chart, we can specify the range of sequence. Before going to range of sequence, we can clearly observe what is range. Here is the range. Range is a built-in function in Python that is used to iterate over a sequence of numbers. The syntax of range is range, that is a beginning value and ending value and step value. For example, if we take 1 to 10 numbers and the step value is 2, it is 9 to print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That is step value is 2. That is the range function is also a data type in Python, and the range produces a sequence of numbers starting with beginning and ending with 1 less than the number end. That is we can clearly observe that ending value with 1 less than the number end. The step argument is optional. If we can use the step value, we can use, or we can skip the step value, but we have to mention the beginning value and ending value. By default, every number in the range is incremented by number 1. We can specify different increment using the step. Defaultly, if we take increment statement as 1, it is trying to take the increment statement as 1. If you can use different increment values by using the step value, it can be both negative or positive but not a 0. And the elements present in range data type are not modifiable, that is range is immutable. And before that we are trying to specify range, and using the for loop, this is a for loop definition and syntax. For loop control variable in sequence or not, for that we are using a range, specifying the range of sequence, that is we are trying to specify whether the given value is in the given range of sequence or not. If it is in the range of sequence, it is trying to take the condition, that is we are mentioning in the diamond symbol, is loop control variable in specified range or not. If it is in the specified range, it is trying to execute the statement block 1, and if it is false, the that is we are calling as is loop control variable is in specified range or not. It is true, the statement block 1 is executed. If it is false, it is trying to statement block is that is statement block 2 is executed. And moreover, that is points to remember is if range function is given a single argument, it produces an object, it produces values from 0 to -1. For example, if you take range of 10, it generates 0 to 9, because it is trying to execute values from 0 to 9. It is following the indexing order, and it is trying to execute the 9 numbers, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on to 9. And here we can see clearly, that is write a program to print 5 numbers using the range in a for loop. Here we can clearly observe with the help of the syntax, the for loop syntax, that is for loop control variable, and in is the operator, and a sequence, and a statement block. Here we can observe in the program, for I in range of 1 comma 5, that is beginning value is 1, and ending value is 5. We are printing the statement with the help of the indentation, and that is it is trying to print 1, 2, 3, 4, because it is following range is argument is -1, it is trying to print the 1 to 4. And another example is to print first 5 numbers using the range in a for loop. For example, if we take beginning value, ending value, and we are using the step value also, for I in range of 1 comma 10 comma 2, print I. That is, it is trying to print the odd numbers. If we take a 0 comma 10 comma 2, it is trying to print the even number values. And here we can some more examples clearly explained. And for I in range of 1 comma 5, it is trying to print, we are using the in function also. And second, in the fourth one, we can observe range of 10, it is trying to print 0 to 9 on the same line. And we are using same type in 1 comma 15, it is trying to print up to 14. And sixth one, it is trying to, we are trying to pass some more other value, step value, that is 3, 1 comma 20 comma 3, that is we are calling the I value. And here clearly observe that the I is the control variable in which it is trying to specify the range, that is it is trying to 3 is the step value in which it is the difference between two numbers is 3. And here we clearly observe that 1 comma 20 comma 3, that is 1 comma 4 comma 7 comma 10 comma 13 comma and so on to 19. And last concept is nested loops. A nested loop is a loop inside a loop, that is here in for loop, it is the single loop statement, it is not we are calling as nested loop. Here we are observing only for, that is I in range of 10. Here we are using a nested loop, that is inside one loop inside another loop, that is the inner loop will be executed one time for each iteration for the outer loop. That is here we are clearly observe that for x in adjacent, that is for in y in fruits. For example, if we take write a program to print each adjective for every fruit, that is inner loop is for y in fruits, and for x in adjective, that is the outer loop. That is we are trying to first, we are trying to assign adjective is equal to red comma big comma and tasty. And these are, it is in the list. And we are trying to write the fruits is equal to apple, banana and a cherry, and it is in a list. And clearly we can observe that for x in, that is we are using for control variable in adjective or not, we are trying to check. And at the same time that inner loop is for y in fruits, that is we are trying to print the print statement of x comma y. And we can clearly observe the statement that inner loop will be executed one time for each outer that is the iteration of the outer loop, that is for y in fruits will be executed one time for each iteration of our x in adjective, that is the outer loop. We can clearly observe that red apple and a red banana, red cherry and big apple and big banana, and big cherry and a tasty apple and tasty banana, and tasty cherry. That is here we can clearly observe that red apple it is executed, that is red is the outer loop. And we can clearly observe that red is printed 3 times, that is red red red, that is we are trying to print the inner statements apple banana 3 times. And big is the outer statement, that is we are trying to print the 3 times. And inner loop is executed apple banana cherry. And tasty apple. That the tasty is the outer loop, that is it is trying to print the three times, and apple, banana, cherry, that are the inner loops. This is we are calling as nested loop. A nested loop is a loop inside a loop, and here we can observe clearly that is it is a single loop structures, and for is also a single loop structures, and we can use for while also, and we can observe clearly for example, and write a program to print the following pattern, that is pass 1, that is 1 2 3 4 5. We have to print the statement as example pass 1 2 3 4 5, that is we are giving 1 2 3 4 5 in the matrix formats, and we can print that statement with the help of the two, that is inner loops and outer loops. For example, if we take for I in range of 1 comma 6, and here we are printing the statement, that is I comma, and we are passing the symbol as hyphen, and end is equal, we are trying to print all the statements in the single line, that is 1 2 3 4 5, or all on the same line, that is append space instead of new line. Here we can observe clearly for I in range of 1 comma 6, it is the outer loop, and for j in range of 1 comma 6, that is the inner loop. We are trying to print the statements inner loop and outer loops on the same line, because in the example we can clearly observe that pass 1 1 2 3 4 5 and or on the same line, and we are passing, that is I is the control variable in which it is the range of 1 comma 6, and it is trying to print that is the argument -1, and for j in range of 1 comma 6, that is argument -1, it is trying to print, and j is the control variable in which it is controlling the range, and lastly j, we are calling j, and appends a space instead of new line and j, and we are trying to print the statements, that is it is trying to print the, we can clearly observe in the nested loops definition. A nested loop is a loop inside a loop, that is here for I in range of 1 comma 6, that is in outer loop, and for j in range of 1 comma 6, that is outer loop, and that inner loop will be executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop, that is it is trying to print the inner loop is trying to execute any number of times, that is one time for each iteration of the outer loop, that is, and we can print the statement, that is 1 pass 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6, and with the help of that we are trying to print, and thank you.